This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
There's a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all.
This is a world of Capes and Lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
Alright, the day is here. Captain Marvel review. Got a full house and no Lilith Hellfire. We're going to have so much fun, Lilith, and you're going to miss it. I know you're listening to this. Alright, let's jump in. Capes and Lunatics, episode 95. Close to 100. Starts right now. Alright. Let me catch my breath before I introduce everyone. Alright. I am Phil, and of course, as here every week, as if I could swap him, the Scourge of New Jersey.
Charlie, the Professor Esther.
All right. All right. We'll jump north. The Scourge of the Boston Public Library, the teen section.
That's a long story. This is Matt Kona reporting from the Quantum Zone podcast.
I was going to say, co-host of the Quantum Zone. Yeah, baby.
And,
all right. Let's make our
on. Oh yeah,
that's right. We'll
eventually.
Right. Moving west, we've got DC and Superman fan and crazy man himself.
I'm gonna guess that's me.
Yeah,
Tyler from the Crypto Report podcast.
Sorry, I didn't say Ohio. Okay.
Broadcast in Ohio. So, well, it's not corn yet, but it will be shortly.
And probably the wrong podcast to do the ladies last. From Alaska, from the Biters podcast, we have Diane and Marnell.
Hey, I'm Diane. How's everybody doing?
I'm Marnell.
No matter what
one word or two.
No matter what her screens. It's a one word or two.
Mine's one.
that Cree name. All right, so let's jump in. I wanted to start with the ladies because,
isn't that chivalrous of you?
Well, and I think they have the least amount of experience reading the Carol in the comics. What did you think of the movie?
It was no Superwoman. Wonder Woman.
No Wonder Woman.
Wow, that's some pretty heavy criticism.
It was no Wonder Woman, but it was a good movie overall.
I really liked it. I gave it 9 out of 10 glowing blue cat pukes.
So, did everyone stay for both end credit scenes?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
I only did because the friend that we were with said, no, there's another.
I always will stay to the end.
I missed the second one.
Yeah.
I missed the second one. I had to pee, and I wanted to beat the crowd. Because Solomon and I we went on preview night on Thursday. It was me and my little buddy. We went, so we just wanted to get out of there before it was a packed house. And I was like, Phil, tell me if I miss anything good.
Anytime I see people getting up at the end of, especially a Marvel movie, I'm just like, what are you doing? Is this like your first time at a movie?
And even if it is, like 2/3 of the audience is still sitting there quietly, like patiently waiting. Doesn't that clue you in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Though to be fair, I mean it's kind of a gag reel ending.
Yeah.
Because it is meant for humor.
But it explains where Loki gets the Tesseract from. The cat pukes it up on Fury's. I thought that's what they said. I thought they.
No. Okay.
He steals it from S.H.I.E.L.D. That's where S.H.I.E.L.D. gets it.
No. S.H.I.E.L.D. had it. S.H.I.E.L.D. had it at the end of First Avenger. This was like my biggest complaint about the film.
Charlie,
the
First
wonky
Avenger
time
takes
stuff.
Place after this.
What?
Not the World War II.
First Avenger takes place after.
Not the World War II stuff.
Yes.
Right, but the other stuff takes place after this movie.
Yes, I know that, but Howard Stark pulls the Tesseract out of the bottom of the ocean.
Yes.
At the end of World War II.
Yes.
And Marvel got it.
Yes, exactly. Marvel, essentially, what they needed was a line how Marvel was working on this because it was on Earth. And it actually makes sense that that's why she's on Earth working on this quantum drive, if you will, because that's where the Tesseract was. So it wasn't Shield's hand. It was always at Project Pegasus, which, again, ties back to where it is at the start of Avengers.
Okay,
So,
I was wrong. I was wrong. Okay.
And notably, that actually suggests that the chain of command of it's always been in Project Pegasus's custody, not in Shield's custody.
Unless Shield took over Project Pegasus after they found out what the government was doing, because we get the early edition of the Quinjet in here.
Yes, the quad jet.
So it's very possible that Shield could take over. Okay, so I want to say something really quick because I actually have to go. I got home to some stuff that I need to take care of. Phil, I love you. I miss you. Okay, but
wait, you leave the movie early. Now you're leaving the podcast early. What is going on?
Yeah. But no, like I said, I left there early just because I wanted to beat the traffic for my 4-year-old. Because I don't know if you've ever had to hold a 4-year-old trying to pee with a crowd of people. It's
better not have Kona.
Small bathroom.
No, I have not.
But no, I just want to say, I like the movie. I have nothing against it. I don't think it's the game changer that Rolling Stone was trying to say it was. I think it just fits right in with the rest of the Marvel films. And my biggest disappointment is I wish that one of the Skrulls had stayed and became a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that we've seen in other movies, because that would have been really awesome if it's revealed that one of these S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that we've had through every film that's been in the background or whatever, or has appeared once or twice, was actually a Skrull in disguise. I think that would have been really, really awesome. Well, they probably will.
I was going to say, we still don't know. Someone could be a Skrull. I mean, why do you think Hawkeye? Why do you think Hawkeye's so lame? He's a Skrull.
Oh, but that's my quick thoughts. I mean, other than that, like I said, the movie was good. I have no beef with it. It was enjoyable. It's a Marvel movie. They play it safe. But I don't think it deserves to be praised as being the greatest superhero film of all time.
Lilith, some people think.
Hey, but I'm saying, I mean, you know me, I'll speak if something's good or bad. It doesn't matter who makes it. Like I said, it was good. I had a good time. Solomon had a good time. It fits right in with all the rest of the Marvel stuff. Marvel doesn't want to take risks with their movies. We know that's a fact. But I will say it had the greatest intro.
There was no risk taking in that.
With what?
And of course, having Thanos actually win, that's not a risk.
Yeah. No, it would have been a risk if that's how they left it. But no, they're going to try to do in-game where they're going to try to fix everything.
Yeah.
Well, not taking risks gets them the highest gross at the box office, so good on them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They play it safe. They do their thing. I'm fine with that. I enjoyed it, but they know what they're doing. I'm not hating on them. They're just okay, this is what we do. Exactly. That's how they make their money. Kevin Feige will probably go down as the number one producer of movie history. He'll probably beat out I think it's Kathleen Kennedy and maybe Spielberg is two of the others that are highest grossing movie producers. Yeah, he'll definitely go down probably as number one when this is all said and done. But I have to go save my universe here. You guys have fun.
Thanks.
Have fun.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, he kind of leaves with the big question. What would you want for a risk for this movie to take? I don't know.
Well, here's one thing I will say.
What risk does DC take? I mean, what was Captain Marvel supposed to say? Why did you say that name?
You can't take a risk with an origin story.
No.
I mean, the only risk that they really took was they kind of changed the gender of the one character.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Brendan Bennick's character was a guy in the comics. Yeah.
Yeah.
They basically made Captain Marvel always female. So.
Yep.
Problem solved. One thing I'll say. I mean, they could have done with maybe a little less humor. Like I said, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Goose.
Really? I loved it.
I did too.
Yeah, well, there we go. I mean, some people, for me, maybe had I not known what Goose was from the start, it would have been much more enjoyable for me.
It's gonna take your eye, Charlie. It's gonna take your eye, Charlie.
Yeah, well, that actually was one thing I did like with Goose. That Goose took the eye. That was.
See, and I didn't like that.
I didn't like that either. It was Fury. That's how Fury loses the eye. I didn't like
love that was part of the story.
I wanted a bigger battle, like maybe he sacrificed the eye to save people, and I wanted something bigger.
Because he said he lost the eye the last time he trusted someone, and just before he does that, he says to Goose, "I trust you."
Oh,
yeah, I did catch
watched it again today, and I said, "Oh, he actually tells Goose that he trusts." He's like, "I am never telling anyone I trust them again."
Oh my god!
Did you say you saw it in 3D today?
I saw it in 3D, and I'll say this: it's a lot better in 3D.
Oh, really?
It flows, and actually, the first time I saw it in IMAX, and I really was a little disappointed by it in IMAX.
I'm sure the space battle fight. I'm sure the space battle fights were like,
Oh yeah, it was really amazing.
3D.
Yeah, but no, the IMAX actually was kind of just disappointing. Honestly, it's big, but it really didn't. It really didn't add anything to it. It wasn't IMAX 3D, so I think just IMAX as IMAX just didn't really give it much. But in 3D, it was the real D 3D. That was really good, and I think when I was really watching it with Tristan, I think that made it a lot more enjoyable too. I mean, there's a lot of great, and I'll tell you, really, there's only one scene with Goose that really bugs me, is when they take off in the ship and they get the heavy G's and the cat's like splayed out against the back. And it just seems so Garfield-y. It's like I did not need a Garfield reference in this.
It was Monday. What do you expect?
But really, all of my complaints kind of center around Goose. Everything else I like. Also, I think what was a little disappointing for me was that for once they didn't surprise me with their plot twists, because I knew the Kree were space Nazis all along. I knew the Skrulls were going to be the good guys, or at least not as bad guys. And I did not know that she got her powers from the Tesseract, and I thought that was a great twist on the origin.
Yeah.
And also, although it doesn't explain why she survived the snaps, it does suggest that, again, there may be disagreement among the Stones as to what they're doing.
Just random. It could just be random that she survived.
It could be. Or 50% of the people empowered by Stones are gone.
I thought that she survived it because she was galaxies away. I don't know.
Well, no, it affected the whole universe.
Yeah, it affected the universe.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got to say, I had gone back and read some of the comic book collections that Phil had recommended to me, and I feel like I need to go back and read them again now that I've watched the movie to see where the movie differs, because I felt like even though they were trying to give us the origin story, it didn't go with what I had read quite so smoothly.
Yeah. This was a complete reworking of the origin.
And it has someone coming... That was a recording of me, not the actual me right now.
Yeah.
Comics Corner.
That was live. That one was live.
You were going to wear that button out, aren't you, Phil?
Already happened.
So, coming from someone who's never read any of the comic books or anything, I loved the movie. I needed the origin story. I enjoyed it. And all of the plot twists for me were genuine plot twists. Like, I had no idea that the Kree were... I mean, I kind of had an idea. I was like, wait, I thought Thanos was bad. Why are we talking to Thanos? So I didn't have any idea that the Skrull were actually, like, refugees and fleeing from the Kree. And, yeah, so I liked that. And you guys made the point. I had forgotten that the Tesseract was actually found in the 40s. I was... totally thrown off by having the Tesseract appear somewhere in 1995. So I was like, are we in an alternate timeline? What's going on? But yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that. So that solves one of my problems. My other problem was just the suspension of disbelief that her plasma ray or whatever can cut through metal, but it just makes people scatter. Like, it doesn't cut through people.
Well, I don't know if she's trying to cut through people.
But she really can't control her power in the beginning.
First, yeah.
Well, at first, her power is being regulated.
Dampened,
yeah.
Right. But she still cuts through the hull of the Skrull ship and not the Skrull themselves.
Yes, but again, she is controlling it because when she is shooting at someone, she's probably not trying to necessarily vaporize them.
I would be.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
She made him like get sucked out into space. What's the difference?
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair cop. It's also the possibility that maybe deep in her unconscious, she knows that something's wrong, and so she's not using her full deadly power.
Unconscious morality.
Yeah, plausible deniability. I didn't kill you. Space killed you.
Well, and again, that was unintentional. It just blew up, and they actually got out of the way, so that didn't hit them when it blew up her gauntlet.
Right.
And then you realize that the wall just melted and fell off into space.
Yeah.
I just want to say a quick thing about the collections. For any of you who have Amazon Prime and the Kindle app, they just put out like 10 for free that you can just read and download to your phone if you have it. So I'd read a bunch of them, but so that's why I kind of knew about the Flurkin and stuff like that. But the Flurkin was like a reaction from Rocket Raccoon, I believe. But
okay,
Yes.
So are all cats Flurkin, or was this just like a Flurkin that Marvel brought from wherever to Earth, or are all Earth cats?
No, it's just the Flurkins are Flurkins. Flurkins look like Earth cats, but they're not cats.
It's a It's a Flurkin alien, Marnell.
Well, because I actually had a friend last night who couldn't come to the movie because their cat attacked them, and yeah, I mean their hand is all swollen and bitten a whole bunch of times, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure all cats are Flurkins.
Yeah.
Bad kitty.
Although I will say this, they have a little plush goose for sale at Walmart right now.
If you squeeze it, the things come out.
Oh man.
Yes.
Wow.
Be interesting. We're playing with that at Walmart today. So yes, you can. It's over with the
baby tackle section.
Well, basically in the girl toy section, essentially, because it's the Captain Marvel doll with the long hair, which I think doesn't look right, but they have that display because they have the Captain Marvel display in the boys section and the girl Captain Marvel display, which has the Flurkin and the
weird
Captain Marvel.
Almost like I think the one in the girls section is almost like a Barbie, but it's like Captain Marvel because I sent a picture of Lilith and she's like, "Oh, that's trash."
It's not a very good doll. I'll be honest with you. It does not. I think they're trying to thread a needle and completely missed on that.
Our doll expert Lilith Hellfire says it's no good.
It's still gonna sell.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Like I said, they make. I mean, they have other Captain Marvel toys over in the rest of the. It's just trying to integrate the superhero section into that girl section and not scare people, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. That's interesting because there's a lot of money to be made, a lot of toys to be made, the action figures, Funko Pops, and I guess now dolls and stuffed animals and stuff. So I'm curious to see how well it does.
And Endgame's coming soon. She's going to be in Endgame, so.
True. Yep. But the Goose Flurkin is it's a very cool toy, and if my kids were a little bit younger, they would have their own little Flurkin.
Well, we went with a friend who's got a barn cat that is pretty vicious, and we decided that all cats are Flurkin.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all cats are Flurkins. I thought it was funny that like everyone knew that it was a Flurkin. How did they tell that? Like, other than the little scanner thing, like everyone seemed to know it was a Flurkin.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm guessing there's something unique about how a Flurkin looks or smells that they could all just see.
Or maybe anything off this planet that looks like that's a Flurkin. So maybe the Skrulls just assumed and they were right.
For what it's worth, Talos does say, "What's a cat?"
Yeah, that's true.
He says, "That's not a cat," and then later he says, "What's a cat?"
Yeah. Yeah, I thought maybe it was a reaction to a cat going into space, or maybe it's just yellow cats are Flurkins or something.
Yeah.
Because you don't see the tentacles come out on Earth, do you? I mean, the Tesseract gets thrown up, but yeah.
Yeah. How Flurkins work is they have sort of like a
pocket dimension.
A pocket dimension in their stomach.
Yeah.
And
right.
And as I was explaining to Tristan, because he was still hopeful those 4 Kree soldiers were still alive. I said no, they got digested, but it couldn't digest the Tesseract.
Yeah,
so they threw it up like a hairball.
That completely makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not being facetious at all. It's facetious, but it makes complete sense.
Made every cat person a dog person.
Yes.
Actually, I like cats more now that I think they're flirking. It explains a lot.
Yeah. Well, and that is indicative of cat people.
But Charlie, do you think the Skrulls are going to stay on the side of good? Because I mean, they've been enemies since Fantastic Four issue 2.
Yeah. So essentially, I think there's going to be a quality of this where,
because I mean, there's going to be a 20-some year time jump. I mean, are they going to get more vicious in that time?
Well, it's entirely possible, especially because we don't know what. Here's what I'll say. I can see the Skrulls being very angry because this is the thing. They're already a decimated population, and now half of them just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So you think we'll see them in Endgame?
Maybe. Even if it's just if we see where Captain Marvel leaves them to come back, I mean, we'll probably at least see them there. But if they get out of line, you're gonna have to stick. You might have to stick your boot in an inappropriate place, but I don't know where that is.
Your ass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Of course, we don't know exactly what Skrulls have going on down there because they
apparently a lot.
Answered.
Anything they want. Anything they want is.
I mean,
Fury took a peek under that.
Yeah.
He knows what's in front.
Fury didn't give us what the reaction was. We don't know if they're smooth. Because they could be smooth, especially they're an egg-laying species.
They're a Ken doll down there.
They could be like the Mocklins, really. They just have a Coachella or Coachella, whatever you call it.
But speaking of Fury, the CGI, the de-aging thing looks good on him. But I figure because there's so much footage with Sam Jackson. Because I was going to say Coulson, you could tell a little bit. It looked kind of weird, but yeah, Sam Jackson looked good.
It was still so much better than Tron Legacy. Do you remember those days of the de-aging?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
So much better than Aquaman.
Yeah, light years.
Yeah.
But
I just figure Sam Jackson probably looked good because there's so much footage of him, especially from the 90s.
Yeah. That was actually speaking of de-aging, I was trying to think because I want to think that Stan Lee still had some dark hair when he did Mallrats.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I think it was a little gray back then. It's been a while.
There was some gray. Yeah.
Stan Lee was always old.
No, I remember Stan Lee in the 70s, man. He was...
What, he's posing naked.
Man, he was right up there with Burt Reynolds in his own...
You're not allowed to
see some pictures from Mallrats, and he did look younger in Mallrats, although he still looked old.
I just found a picture. He's got real gray on the sides, starting to go gray on the top.
Yeah,
there he is.
Whereas here, they gave him the hair, but they kept it all white. And I think they were probably worried, if we make him look too young, the younger fans aren't going to know who he is.
Aha.
So they did do de-aging on him, but they wanted to make sure that people knew he was still... So they gave him a full head of Willie Lumpkin hair.
But I did like that scene, and I did like the beginning of the whole Marvel logo. Instead of all the heroes, it was every Stan Lee scene from the movies.
Yeah, that kind of
great. Yeah.
But speaking of the Stan Lee cameo,
The
most interesting thing about that means that Stan Lee and Marvel Comics exist in the MCU. And
because Kevin Smith put him in that movie.
Comic book writing.
Yeah.
Because superheroes. And here's the thing: we established that Timely Comics existed in First Avenger because we do see Captain America #1 in First Avenger. We also see during the Agent Carter series, Howard Stark making the Kid Colt movie based on the Kid Colt comic book, which is also by Marvel. So there is definitely, or actually, I think then it was at that point it was Atlas Comics. But anyway, so this comic book company exists. It was already established to exist, They do write stories about existing heroes, but for Stan Lee to be in Mallrats suggests that maybe he is writing the Fantastic Four in this universe. Or
I was waiting for Marvel Comics to come up when Carol and Fury were having that conversation. Marvel. Yeah, that's what I said. Marvel. I was waiting for someone to go, Marvel Comics? What?
Well, no. That would imply that Fury was a big nerd.
You can know Marvel Comics and not read them.
Yes, but Coulson, if it was Coulson, he would say, like the comic book.
Oh, yeah.
But Coulson has a very small role in this.
Because he was a new agent. By the way, one of my other gripes was he said that they were from S.H.I.E.L.D. They didn't use the acronym back then. He started using the acronym.
In the 90s?
Yeah, they started using it in Iron Man 1. They were still calling themselves Strategic Homeland.
You were right.
Yeah.
You are 100% right.
Yay! I got something right.
Yes. Well, he says it's the Strategic Hazard Initiative. Yeah.
Homeland and
Strategic Homeland. So although that doesn't mean that they weren't using the term shield.
Maybe around the office they were using share.
Yeah. Well, although it also suggests when Fury pulls it out that people know what shield is.
Either that or just in Iron Man 1 he was giving Tony Stark a hard time.
Yeah. Well, there is the argument that he was sort of Barney Fifing it, he was trying to seem like a bumbling agent.
In Iron Man 1, yeah.
Manipulate Tony Stark. Although what's interesting is that it looks like when Sam Jackson is throwing the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo, that S.H.I.E.L.D. is a known quantity here. So it's entirely possible that sometime between the 90s and Iron Man 1, S.H.I.E.L.D. folds and then gets reintroduced, as it has hundreds of times in the comics.
Yeah, because they decided since they had found Marvel that they were going to start looking for other superheroes, and then it took them 20 years to find one. They're not very good agents.
Yeah, was there anyone around to find?
Yeah, well, no, they actually found lots of superhumans, but mostly they were villains.
Well, and they wanted Hank Pym's Ant-Man tech, but he wouldn't give it to him.
Exactly, and that was actually in the 80s. And actually, what was really interesting in this concept is that, and you have to remember, at this point, Fury's only level 3. So he's actually below Coulson at sort of Avengers in this. So because you see on his ID, he's Fury Agent level 3.
Oh, that's right. Robert Redford's still out there.
Yeah, Robert Redford's still out there, and Hydra is still actively manipulating S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
So any act taking, if someone is powerful enough, like say if they find a Crusher Creel out there, he gets rolled into Hydra. And they're actually trying to, at this point, Hydra is actively working against him on this concept because they are worried. Now remember, you also have to remember in this that Hydra actually has ties to the Kree, because, again, they're all Nazis.
That's right.
So not for nothing, the fact that Marvel knows the Tesseract is on Earth is possibly related to Hydra's connections to the Kree to let the Kree know that their Tesseract is on Earth, but no one can get it awakened. And then they send a top Kree scientist to Earth to infiltrate Project Pegasus, yada, yada, yada.
Hopefully it's better than that Skrull science guy.
Yeah, well, you know what? They were refugee people.
It was an orbit. It was an orbit. How did you not see that?
Yeah, well, not for nothing.
It's basic physics.
Well, yeah, when you know what these coordinates mean, he doesn't know that that's how Earth people crack their orbital coordinates. It's like, would that be that hard to figure out? I don't know. If I gave you a book in German, would that be that hard for you to figure out, Carlos? I could give you the military handbook of Sun Tzu in the original Chinese. Tell me what it says. It's just basic war strategy. That's what you do, right, Mr. War Guy?
All right, before I forget, we were talking about the Stan Lee cameos. There was another cameo in this movie that I bet you Charlie Answer doesn't know about. Kelly Sue DeConnick, who wrote a bunch of those Captain Marvel stories. She was in the movie when she was fighting the Skrull on the train and she got off at the station. Mm-hmm. The woman with the red hair and glasses. That was Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Oh, wonderful. Well, good for her.
Nice.
Good for her. Yeah. Well, you got to get these people in here. They created these things. They all need to and Marvel needs more cameos.
That could be like the new cameo. Once we write. Well, not that we'll ever run out of Stan Lee cameos, but I was gonna say just drop one of the well-known writers of whatever character that movie is.
Yes, he is CGI now.
Stephen King does that with his movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, movies that he endorses. There's a lot of movies that he doesn't endorse, but that the publishers sell the rights to. In fact, that's how you know if it's going to be a good Stephen King adaptation or a bad Stephen King adaptation. If it has a Stephen King cameo.
Meanwhile, the DC movies, none of the writers want to show up for those. Sorry, Lil. Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah. That's actually a little sad that DC doesn't have even anyone that they tie into it,
Oh no, it's gonna be Bendis.
I'd take it at this point, Well, they used to have all the old guys. For example, in Superman, the first Superman, they have Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane both have cameos in the original Superman film.
Oh yeah.
And and you would bring these guys back in. I mean, that's normal. That's usually traditions that when you do any kind of remade property, if there's an earlier version, you try to get the guy to come in and do a cameo.
They even did it with Supergirl. They brought in Dean Cain and yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
tonight. I think it's tonight. John Cryer's going to play Lex Luthor, and he was Lenny Luthor in Superman 4.
I'm not caught up. Oh, I need to catch up. I love John Cryer.
I think he's actually shaving his head too.
He did. Did you see him?
Yeah, I saw the pictures. Yeah.
He looks legit Luthor.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about that Luthor. I think it's going to be a very good Luthor. Unfortunately, I cannot get in Channel 11 or record Channel 11 off of DirecTV now. So I have to wait till it comes on CW app tomorrow.
But Matt Kona, we didn't get Quasar, but we got Project Pegasus.
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that the first person that we saw at the Project Pegasus was clearly not the head of security. He's just kind of grunt. I was looking for a Wendell Vaughn, perhaps his dad.
Either that or, hey, I'm Director Grunwald.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if 20 years in the future, if little Monica is not head of security, because she has to glow or build a rocket ship.
Oh no, I was going to say, I thought you were going to say she was going to get her powers. Because did you even hear it? She told Carol, she's like, "Oh yeah, maybe one day I'll glow and come up and fly up and meet you."
Well, she says, "I'll meet you halfway." And
another
Karen
Captain
says,
Marvel.
You got to learn to glow like your Aunt Carol, or I could build a spaceship. So either one. So either she's going to build a spaceship.
And the last name is pronounced Rambeau. I told you.
Yeah, it is Rambeau. I was always Rambeau, but I was trying to put more of a French pronunciation in it. Rambeau.
You're so worldly.
They're from Louisiana. What am I supposed to say?
Down in the bayou.
Down in the bayou. Oh, but yeah. Any other thoughts?
Yes. Any other thoughts?
Well, let's talk. I'd like to talk a little about the 90s aesthetics. I thought they were pretty cool. And now this was 1995 this took place in?
Yeah.
Because, the crash was in 89, and then they said it was 6 years ago.
So
95, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's what I thought. That's kind of the vibe that I got from True Lies being on VHS and getting blown away in the Blockbuster Video and
Radio Shack.
Owned by Marvel.
And all the 90s music.
Yeah, I had the list of some of the songs from the 90s soundtrack, which were pretty well represented. What a Man, Salted Pepper, Elastica, Connection, Garbage, Only Happy When It Rains, TLC, Waterfalls. Let's both take the power back. And
we did open up on International Women's Day, March 8th.
Yeah.
So, girls kick butt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of controversy of oh my God, James Woods, and then just all of the trolls that I've seen on the internet talking about having a woman superhero, to a lot of controversy.
Yeah, I feel like that could be its own podcast of its own, and it's unfortunate, but whatever. I mean, I don't pay attention to the ratings or the reviews. I wanted to see it. I saw it on Friday during the daytime. I considered it Intergalactic Women's Day. But it was good. And I hope that I think this is probably far-fetched, but when it gets released on video, I'd like it to be on VHS as well. I think that would be cool.
That would be lovely. You can definitely get. I'm sure there will be a limited pressing of
Laser
the
disc.
for the hipsters. You know.
Yeah.
You got to see it in the VHS format because that's going to get the real warmth of the video.
It's all about that tracking adjustment, you know.
Oh man, you got to manually track it, man, because that's the only way you get it perfect.
I actually one of the friends that I went with, she actually worked down in Antarctica, and we were talking about all of the terrible movies that they have down on VHS down there that still work because nothing degrades down there. And so she was talking about just all of the terrible movies on VHS that they watch Thing over and over and over, and so I would love to have them do it on VHS so we could send them a copy of VHS Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Well, did anybody else get a vibe from like Star Trek: The Next Generation at some parts? I felt like the Krees reminded me a lot of Ferengi in some ways, where you couldn't really trust them, but okay, you feel a little sympathy. I don't know. I also watched a lot of that in the 90s too.
Shut up, Wesley.
Speaking of like 90s sci-fi, did anyone think that Talos was drunk when he comes in his Skrull form to approach Carol?
When he comes into Monica's home?
Yeah. When he comes in, yeah. Because as soon as Tristan said, he's drunk. And I was like, I feel that way. And the main reason I thought that is because he's drinking milk, which, for those who remember Alienation.
Alienation, yes.
Yeah. That's
sour milk. Sour milk.
Yeah. I just, the idea that he was like, you know what? Let me take a snort. Let me just go on in with this.
What are you talking about? His speech pattern? Because I was like, he has some kind of accent. I guess that's just the actor.
Cree Australian.
From the from the south of Holla. Yeah.
He's from the east side of Holla.
New from Holla. Santorini is the Kree home world, which has been destroyed by the Kree in this storyline, not by Galactus, unfortunately.
The Skrull, yeah, right.
Yeah, the Skrull home world, I believe, was actually it might have been Skrullos at that time. I can't remember what it was because I know it was Santorini when the Skrull Empress was teaming up with the Silver Surfer and merged with the Super Skrull because he was the one Skrull that could still change shape anymore. That was a good book. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We're close to we could get Super Skrull at any point now. Although you'd have to introduce Fantastic Four first, I guess, because he has all the powers of the Fantastic Four.
Or maybe that's the new Fantastic Four origin. Maybe that's the Fantastic
Four
from
the Super Skrull.
No, all the Fantastic Four are actually Skrulls.
No more Fantastic Four origin stories. We're done with that. It's like Spider-Man origin stories. We're done with that.
Yeah. They don't even mention Uncle Ben now.
In the Skrulls is that they're shapeshifters, but they're very limited shapeshifters.
It takes skill.
Yeah.
But I like that. Why would I want to change it to a filing cabinet?
I was waiting for some kind of battle to be going, and then just have them run past like a filing cabinet. No, I mean, like, because girls in the comic book, they're almost like Odo, where they can really become anything. Mm-hmm. And here they seem to be very much bound by basic humanoid construction,
size.
Yeah. I mean, they have some.
Yeah, because he really didn't.
They clearly have some limitations in size because Talos becomes, the young girl early on, and she is clearly about half his physical mass. But you can just assume that's all density.
But I don't think he could become like the cat or anything. I don't think he could go that small. Yeah. He might be able to get a little bigger too, but.
Yeah. See, that was disappointing to me because that is one of the things I think one of the coolest things about the Skrulls is they really, literally could be anyone.
Yes.
And it seems like they say that, but then they also say, but not really anyone,
Well, that's what I was waiting for the whole Sam Jackson eye thing, because in the in a previous movie he said, last time I trusted someone I lost an eye. I thought it was going to be because he thought like his boss turned out to be a Skrull in the beginning. Yeah. So
well, I was hoping there was going to be another heel turn on the Skrulls.
Mm-hmm.
I think they made the Skrulls a bit more sympathetic than I was expecting, because I was expecting there to be and even Hello says, hey, look, we're both in this war. I got more blood on my hands than I can even count either. And so I was waiting for them to say, yeah, we are the victims of the Kree, but that doesn't mean we're nice people.
Yeah, and it was only a small subsection of Skrulls that we saw. We didn't see.
The ones that were being actively helped by Marvel.
Yeah,
these were say that they were scattered throughout the universe still.
Yeah. Well, and these Skrulls were considering themselves refugees. They weren't considering themselves like freedom fighters or anything like that. So these were the peaceful Skrulls. We don't know if there are any other, terrorist Skrulls out there.
And it was the Kree who destroyed their planet, Charlie Esser. I so wanted it to be Galactus.
Yeah, well, they don't have rights for Galactus yet. And you know that because, again, they credited 20th Century Fox for the standee in the credits, because it was still separate enough that they had to credit it as an agency that didn't have to let them use it, even though now it's all them. So yeah.
So that was something in reading back through some of the collections. It seemed like the refugee story was a little bit different from how it was actually presented in the movie.
Yeah. So the Skrulls became refugees after Galactus ate their homeworld.
Okay.
However, like I say, when you go back to the original Fantastic Four first appearance, and that's the thing I was hoping there was going to be some reference to, is this fact that the Skrulls being basically other space Nazis.
I thought you were going to say you wanted them to turn into cows or something.
Well, when they turn them into the cows, the Skrulls who surrender say, "Look, don't send us back to Skrullos or wherever, because it's horrible." And they say, "You can turn us into anything you want. We would rather be anything other than a Skrull, because to be a Skrull was to be part of this horrifying, faceless, mechanized warfare machine, where not only is it a Nazi regime oppressing you constantly, but also with spies of your own people everywhere. So you never know who. So not only can no one ever trust that they're not speaking to a Skrull, another Skrull can't trust that the person they're speaking with is the person they think it is. So, I was hoping for something a little more along those lines, but I was happy with what they did. And honestly, because it is one film and they can't get that deep into Skrull politics, there may be a whole thing where they would think, look, let's just deal with a group of Skrulls that have one group of good Skrulls. And Kevin Feige, it's interesting, when he was talking about the Skrulls recently, he says, yeah, there's all different kinds of Skrulls. There's all different kinds of Kree.
Because there's all different kinds of humans. Yeah.
Exactly. So as we explore this, and that kind of was, it kind of like saying, yeah, these Skrulls might have been bad, but we might have good Skrulls later. But what he really was, in context of having seen the movie, what he's saying is, these Skrulls that you're going to see in this movie are actually decent people, but there's some really awful Skrulls out there.
Well, and there
aren't going to be looking for a homeworld that just want revenge.
There was really decent Krees, because Marvel was a good Kree.
Yeah, Marvel was a good Kree.
Yep.
But
and even
I'm wondering if they're going to go deeper with Marvel, if they're going to reveal more about her backstory, because recently in the comics they retconned it where, before Carol had just gotten her powers in an accident where Marvel was, and it kind of imprinted some of his DNA on her, but they recently retconned it where her mother was Kree, so then they've made Carol in the comics half Kree all of a sudden.
Right.
So
maybe that's why she survived the blast.
And remember, they showed those flashbacks for her family. You never see, you saw glimpses of the father. You never see the mother.
Nope.
So I'm wondering if they're going to reveal she's going to be I never knew my mother, and I wonder if it's going to be Marvel or something.
That would be interesting.
I was wondering about
Marvel Jr.
I was wondering about that because I didn't, Kree blood and human blood. You wouldn't think those two things would be compatible, but she's already half Kree. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they told her that they gave her Kree blood. They transfused Kree blood into her.
Right.
Well, that's what Morton was saying. If she wasn't half Kree, maybe it wouldn't be compatible.
Human blood. If we don't get the right type of blood, we reject it. So we accept Kree blood. I think she's half Kree.
Yeah, or Krees are just universal donors.
All our blood is blue until it hits the surface, too. That's one thing about humans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was checking the box office. It looks like so far, I guess they're saying this weekend they made 153 million domestically, and what was it, like 445 globally or something?
It released last week overseas.
Yeah, it's 455.
Really?
455 worldwide and 153. Yeah, they do some of these. Yeah, they release them like in
That's
like
crazy.
Europe before they release them here. Yeah.
I seriously think it's because in the U.S. they wanted it on an International Women's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they've done it with other movies too, so I don't know if that was the only reason, but
That seems so strange to me for such a big event movie, like a Marvel comic universe thing.
well, I think
For some reason, it's the standard practice now that Europe gets it first.
well, that was one of the rumors of why they moved Infinity War up, because like last year was supposed to be on, they were doing like the first weekend in May, and then they moved it up just like Endgame is to like April 26th or whatever that Friday is, and that's one of the rumors is people were saying, oh, maybe they're worried about spoilers for Infinity War. That's why they moved it up. Because I think everybody in the world got it on the same day when they moved it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's very strange.
Well, I mean, it works.
Yeah.
So how is Marvel gonna save us all from the snap? What role does she play?
If she is bound to the Tesseract, it seems probable that she has some connection to it in the same way that, Scarlet Witch, because she was powered by the Mind Stone, could use her powers to destroy the Mind Stone. It's entirely possible that she can disrupt the Gauntlet's power because she is powered by the same energies of the Gauntlet.
Time travel!
And there's a perfect
No,
90s
time travel.
song to play during that moment. Rage Against the Machine, Take the Power Back. I think
I wonder if that's going to be her thing. Anytime there's like a big fight scene with Captain Marvel, if she there
90s
play 90s music, yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, well, honestly, she's really an 80s girl, so...
She has
Cindy
missed the last
Lauper.
20 years of Earth popular culture, so...
Yeah. Really, because she actually pulls out of Earth culture, and really, most of her songs should have all been from the late 80s, not the 90s.
Right.
Because even though it's taking place in the 90s, her actual cultural touchstones would be the 80s and the 70s.
She was taken in 1989, yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't remember all that stuff, though.
Yeah. Well,
And Star-Lord has the rights to all the 80s music.
yeah.
Anyway.
I was just going to have all these 90s music, but
And
like I said,
Captain America has everything from the 40s before.
Yeah,
yes.
he's got all the old jingles.
Al Jolson. No, I'm hoping that we're going to get Monica Rambeau.
Yes.
In Infinity War, or Avengers 4, Electric Boogaloo. I'm really hoping she's going to be in that. I'm really hoping she's going to be doing something with powers.
Yes. It's been 20-something.
I'm actually kind of hoping that there's like some quantum bands laying around Project Pegasus for her to pick up. Maybe other people are going to be upset about that, but I'm like, hey, whatever gets Monica Rambeau flying and shooting out laser blasts. Oh,
Give her energy powers like she used to have, even though Cloak and Dagger took her origin on the TV show.
yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing. Is like Cloak and Dagger took her origin, so now she's like stuck without an origin. Although theoretically, how about this? Maybe she's working with Professor Vaughn, and they actually build the original quantum bands, trying to mimic Carol's energy pattern. Accident, she gets her powers, and then we still have quantum bands that we can give to, Professor Vaughn's son.
All right, Matt, where can they find the quantum bands?
You can find them on Uranus.
Shout out Quantum Zone.
Carly, you're trying to win my heart, and I appreciate asking for inclusion of quantum bands in Endgame. I don't know how many new origins we're going to get when that gets to that point. I feel like there's a lot. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be like a 3-hour movie.
Like I said, half the population is gone. They need to raise an army of heroes. And this is going to be where you're going to get maybe an alliance with these space Nazis called the Kree. and we're gonna get the maybe we're no, we can't get this year. Dang it! I was gonna say
not yet.
Not yet. Oh,
Once we
although
pull
did
the
anyone
X-Men in.
see the Dark Phoenix trailer in front of their movie?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That looks interesting.
I didn't see it. My time I had to schedule my movie viewing at a very specific time, so I missed most of the previews. Got there just in time for the movie, but we're gonna see some accusers. I bet turn on the side, maybe join the fight. Ronan the Accuser, perhaps.
Oh, if we get disagreements in Endgame, Charlie, could we get a Kree-Skrull war?
Well, we already have
down the road.
Maybe we get a Kree-Skrull piece.
I was going to say, haven't we already got Kree-Skrull War?
Yeah, we're engaged in the Kree-Skrull War
with Avengers in the
and
middle.
honestly, not for nothing, we don't really know. Like Carol left to find a homeland for the Kree, but maybe we know that the not the Skrulls, but we know the Kree have been after her because they want her power. It's entirely possible that basically she and the Skrulls have been fighting this ongoing Kree-Skrull war. Maybe she found on the planet, and the Skrulls immediately said, "Okay, now we have a place to attack." Because not for nothing, the Kree clearly had weapons because they do have their own Kree ship and they do have their own,
missiles,
tech and things like that. Yeah, it's not like it wasn't like they were like all had secondhand junk material. They're not like running like the Reavers. They actually have like Skrull ships. So, they're a ragtag. They may have been beaten back, but they clearly have some sort of structures in place, and possibly a clandestine secret cabal in a lot of other planets that have been manipulating things to supply the Skrull wars. So we may see that Carol by the end of it is actually disappointed about all these space people.
We even got babyface Ronan.
Oh
we started messing with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Didn't have his war paint on even. He was just all blue face.
He was just a 9-to-5 accuser, man.
Just bombing planets.
hadn't gone rogue yet. Although again, it's was he sanctioned? Was he not sanctioned by the Kree?
Yeah, like you said. Oh, yeah, like you said in Guardians of the Galaxy, the Kree are like, "Oh yeah, we don't know what Ronan's doing."
Yeah, likely. Yeah, but so I can definitely see by the time we get to Endgame that there is going to be a touching on that Kree-Skrull war which has been raging for the last 20 years, which is why she hasn't been back, or maybe she has been back a few times and talked with Fury, was like but that was just when she was on R&R.
Yeah.
Go back and check on Goose. I want to find out what Goose has been up to.
Yeah, where's Goose at?
Yeah, Flurkins must have a long lifespan.
Cats have 9 lives. Flurkins way more.
So that's the big worry about Flurkins, is that if they lay eggs, you can get an entire Flurkin infestation.
Yes.
And although this Flurkin is being nice, quite frankly, it like I said, Fury's told the Flurkin he trusted it. It's like you just saw the Flurkin eat 4 people.
Bad people, though. What? Bad people, because when he was running up to the Skrull that was that looked like a Kree, he knew that he was Skrull. Yeah, Skrull.
Yeah.
So he's on the side of good.
Or he also was full. So in the Jungle Book, Ka is actually kind of Baloo gets Ka to help save Mowgli from the apes, but because from the monkeys, because Ka's the one animal that they fear because Ka can go in the trees, and halfway through it, Ka's like, you know what, maybe I'll just eat the boy anyway. Just because they're on your side doesn't mean they're good people. Which is the moral lesson we have to think about the Skrulls, and which is the moral lesson that Fury got when he trusted the Flurkin. And I love that he says, "Mother Flurker." It's his catchphrase.
These mother Flurkin cats on this mother Flurkin plane.
Mother Flurkin. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I like that they made the Quadjet look like. I thought that was a nice touch.
What?
That the Quadjet looked like Starscream? Or is that just me?
I thought that was supposed to be the one from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, that's a quadjet. No, that was no. They this is what predated the Quinjet.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
basically, I mean, the idea you get from this is that they had the quadjet, and then Tony Stark said, "Put another jet on that. Let's make it a Quinjet." Bigger, man, bigger, because that's how Tony Stark rolls. Although there is this implication in there that basically, the Starks have been getting this secondhand Kree technology this entire time, which might explain why they've kind of jumped ahead technologically. If Tony Stark is getting old Dr. Lawson's old notes to work from.
True. Ooh.
Yeah.
Tony Stark cheated his. Oh.
Dishonest billionaire. Could you believe it? Wow.
Not for nothing. From Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we've actually been disassembling actual Kree since the 1940s, because that's what the Project Home Base was based off of, was where they actually can bring people back to life. Was basically, they found a dead Kree that the Nazis were dissecting and said, well, let's not let all this good science go to waste, and let's see how much more we can dissect this person.
Tahiti, it's a magical place.
Remember, Tahiti is actually just the rewriting of brain patterns. Bringing you back to life, that's actually Project Home Base. Just saying, there's a difference. People get the two confused, but actually Tahiti is a different project. That's about rewriting neural pathways to alter a person's memory, much in the way the Kree did to Captain Marvel.
They didn't alter them. They were trying to find them.
Well, the Skrulls were trying to find her memories.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the Kree altered her memories because they took away her actual memories of Earth, and even as this extra security precaution, put an image of a Kree over Jude Law's, or of a Skrull over Jude Law's face in her memory, so that even when she's having her nightmares, she's not seeing Jude Law, she's seeing a Skrull face.
Which, that was one of my favorite parts in the movie, is that end battle, like when she goes through the spaceship and then she goes back down and she's like getting ready to battle with Jude Law, and I'm like, she just destroyed an entire spaceship. Like, this guy stands a chance. And
well, he was like, he was like, power down and fight me fair, show me.
Yeah. And then she like knocks his block off and is like, I have nothing to prove to you. That was one of my favorite moments.
That's a feel-good moment for sure.
Yeah, that's why he did it. He knew once she went through that ship, he's like, oh, I can't beat her unless I get her in there, like fighting fair.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, everybody thought if she had fought him fair, he would have pulled out his like magnetron things the second he got under her thumb. So
and we got
never trust a space Nazi.
There's my drop.
How about just never trust a Nazi?
Yeah. But sometimes people don't think space Nazis are as bad as real Nazis. So just because you're from space.
So we have to build a wall, and we have Space Force. Maybe we need to build a space wall.
Don't give anyone ideas.
Captain Marvel actually did that in the comic books.
Oh, Phil, you didn't have anything from the soundboard on that one?
That's right. We don't know what's happening.
Well, we got all their.
We do.
Wrong.
But now we got other famous Kree, Minerva, but I don't think she was a doctor in this one.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
she was just like a sniper.
Yeah, and she's dead now.
Nobody's ever dead. Nobody's ever dead.
Well, I mean, yeah, theoretically they could rebuild her clone on Kree Homeworld too.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's her sister, Minerva. I was actually waiting for the Independence Day reference after that fight. Welcome to Earth,
Welcome to Terra. Terra.
That is totally what that whole passageway of fighting through the canyon made me think of. I was trying to place which movie it was, and that's exactly it.
Yeah, that is.
Welcome to C-53 just doesn't have the right ring.
Screaming Terra.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good film. It is a good film. I will say that.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not as good as Black Panther. I will say that. I felt that Black Panther. I felt that this was a really good superhero film. And to that extent, I will say it's not the earth-shattering movement film that like Black Panther was, where there's a really strong political message. The really strong political message in Captain Marvel is Nazis are bad, and
refugees are not all bad. Not all.
Yeah,
and women can do anything a man
and
can.
girls rule. Yeah.
girls rule. And honestly, well, actually, really, as I say, the actual story is humans rule. Because when they say you're just a human, and it's and what do humans do?
They get back up. Yep.
And we can do this all day.
Yep.
Just like Cap says.
It's because anyone named Captain, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's what makes you a captain. That's what makes you a hero. Not the number of times you get knocked down, but the times you get back up and keep on fighting for what's right.
That's the real message.
Excuse me, ma'am. Did you see a space lady look like she's dressed for laser tag? Make a hole in the roof of that Blockbuster? Yeah, she went that way.
That was a good scene. Yeah, I really liked Fury in this. Fury is a lot of fun, especially because, again, like I said, it's new kid Fury. Even though Coulson is even newer, it is still Fury. Not aware of. And I have to say this much: between this movie and Iron Man,
the end of Iron Man,
yeah, Fury has really risen the ranks.
Well, it's been 20. It was
20 years now. That was like that was only like a decade, really.
Yeah, a little over a decade. Yeah, but
12 years.
Yeah.
Which for an organization like Shield. Really speaks well of Fury's. Of course, the fact that he was a full-bird colonel that young also says this is a man who achieved.
Well, it's a dangerous job too. High turnover. People are probably getting killed left and right.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
If you survive, you probably climb the ranks pretty quick.
Well, or you know what? Or it was Peggy Carter running things. I'm really sad we didn't get a Peggy Carter. And then when Peggy actually did have to step down, she sort of had to find the one person that she could trust. And that was Nick. Of course, I still say Peggy Carter's alive. She's not going to let that... Yeah, she got that Infinity formula. Watch.
Maybe it was the time limit, too, because I was surprised this was only like a Marvel movie, it's only 2 hours and 5 minutes. I was like, boy, I thought for an origin story, they would have packed a little more into this.
Yeah.
I was kind of glad that they didn't, though, because I felt like some of the action scenes were a little too drawn out. It was like, okay, we've seen the action before. It's a little boring. Some of the dialoguing scenes were a little too long. So, yeah.
Well, maybe two, because this is the last one before Endgame, and Endgame might be 3 hours long.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't want to overwhelm people, because, another 3-hour movie.
But a lot of people, I think, were going into it thinking, it was going to be Iron Man, or it was going to be this or that. And it was, a lot of people were like, it was really like Guardians of the Galaxy. It was more funny than it was anything. I enjoyed the comedy. I thought it was funny. I love how sassy she is, and that she just can never be serious. Because I'm kind of that way.
No.
Her humor, I love. Like, for me, it was just the dang cat. That darn cat.
That darn cat.
Well, it just made me feel like I needed to go back and watch the last 20 movies from the MCU and read everything I could read about Captain Marvel.
Well, honestly, I mean, this took place before most of them, so
yeah.
This is really, if you're going chronologically, this is the second Marvel movie.
I was going to say you'll have to do 2 binges. You'll have to do one in how they were released and in one chronologically.
Right.
Yeah, and throw in the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, too. That's
you got to do Peggy Carter.
Oh, yeah, Peggy Carter TV show. Yeah.
There's connections. You could actually do a fairly consistent thing here. And then you got to do, the first part of Ant-Man, and then watch the second part of Ant-Man.
Well, that's like some of those theaters when they do those marathons, they don't even play all the movies anymore, because, I mean, that would be days.
Yeah. Well,
I was floored to realize there were so many.
Yeah.
Well, Disney got their money back on that deal.
Oh, yeah.
It was all just to say, we need a way to get boy money, because we're selling all this princess stuff. How do we get stuff boys want to see? No, boys like to be superheroes. Okay, buy us one of those comic book companies. What's available? Marvel's pretty cheap. Okay, buy us Marvel.
Go get that Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh yeah, go get Star Wars too. While we're at it, you know. I already got Jim Henson stuff. You know. Bringing back the storyteller. I'm so excited.
All right. So, any final thoughts, anyone?
Well, I think that Brie Larson did great. I feel like we didn't talk about her that much. We talked about kind of the other things and the aspects of it, but I thought she did well on screen on her own, interacting with all her characters. I mean, she's an Oscar-winning actress, and you know, she fit right in this comic book setting. Kept it lighthearted, and also, made you want to pump your fist, as Marnell was saying earlier about doing it on her own, and it was great. So overall, really enjoyed it, and looking forward to Dick. I downloaded a bunch of the collections that I hadn't already on Amazon, so I'm going to read through some of those, and I look forward to see her contribution to the cause in Endgame.
Yes. Yeah,
Marnell?
I mean, so go.
I was going to say, Marnell, any thoughts?
I really enjoyed the movie. I had no expectations going into it because I've never read the books before. So, it was no Wonder Woman for me. I still think Wonder Woman was an overall better movie, as coming from the whole girls kick butt aspect. But yeah, Brie Larson. She is Captain Marvel now. Like I can't imagine anybody else in that role. And I loved all of the female characters. They were very strong female characters in the role. There was no damsels in this movie. And so, yeah, I love it. Higher, further, faster.
Diane?
So dovetailing into that, I've got to say I probably won't be trading my Wonder Woman phone case in anytime soon. I agree. It just makes me feel like there's a lot more for me to explore in the MCU as someone who doesn't read a lot of comic books, so it's going to kind of get me going as far as that goes. Makes me look forward to Endgame. I didn't realize we were so close to Endgame premiering, and it makes me look forward to that.
End of April, yes.
Yeah.
Can't wait. The only thing between Captain Marvel and Endgame is Shazam.
Which actually is getting pretty good reviews from what I hear. I'm kind of surprised.
The more I see of it, the better it looks.
As long as he's likable, unlike Aquaman.
Well, I think there's a lot of the concerns about Aquaman in there, because the last trailer I saw, they do have the kid who becomes Captain Marvel Jr. basically berating him about how he's being a really bad hero. You know, that he doesn't understand what a hero is supposed to be. And so I liked that. So,
right.
But that's that Captain Marvel.
I was going to say, final thoughts on this Captain Marvel.
Yeah, this Captain Marvel. I did enjoy it. It's a very good film. I'll agree that actually I think Wonder Woman is the better film. Although Wonder Woman always gives me problems because I felt they gave Etta Candy short shrift in that, and that's like my big sticking point with Wonder Woman. As I really wanted I really wanted them to do some kind of continuous idea of Etta Candy becoming something really cool in the DC extended universe, but they're not doing the extended universe anymore, so that dream has sailed. But no, it was great. We had, really interesting takes on the Skrulls, very interesting takes on the Kree. I'm not even convinced the Kree can't do a heel turn by the time we get to Endgame, even with the guy that we thought was going to be Captain Marvel not being Captain Marvel, Jude Law, even coming back as sort of saying, no, I have this deeper nobility, even though I am a space Nazi,
Well, half of they were affected by the snap too, so half of them are gone. Maybe they, join forces because they want their people back or want retribution. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly. I think that this could be the start of galactic peace to beat the heck out of Thanos. So the entire 20 armies of the universe gathering together to destroy Thanos. It'll be fun. All in all, aside from that darn cat, I really liked it. I had no real complaints, and like I said, I'm glad that they did. Like I said, my complaints were mostly that they didn't explain why Mar-Vell had to be on Earth to get the Tesseract. So it made it look like Mar-Vell brought the Tesseract, rather than the Tesseract already being there. So I think that people that now, rightly so, there's going to be people that are a little confused on the Tesseract's timeline in this. So I think that they need a novelization that explains that.
So Nerdist did publish an article on Facebook today that gives a Tesseract timeline. I did not read it, but
Vanity Fair did too. Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
So I would like to. So I'll have to look at that. So, but it also has to be the official timeline as opposed to someone like I can say what the timeline is. She went to Earth. She got the Tesseract from Project Pegasus. Ipso, built her. Did her whole dealio, and that's that storyline. But I need the official Marvel handbook statement of what was going on, how these all connect. But that's me. But aside from that, this was a very solid film. I definitely give it a thumbs up. I saw it twice. I liked it more the second time I saw it.
Was it packed both times?
I'm sorry?
Was the theater packed for both showings that you went to?
Well, the first time I saw it was like the 1 o'clock showing, and that was packed.
That was a Thursday or a Friday?
That was a Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. Oh, okay. So you saw it twice in one day, or did you see it
saw it today?
Oh, okay.
I was shooting with Tristan at the 11:30 3D showing, and that was it had a lot of people there, but it wasn't a packed house.
Okay.
But it was also raining, and so people might not have wanted to go.
Yeah, right. 3D's a pricier ticket too.
Yeah. Oh, worth it. And that's what I'll say. I'm really thinking that these Marvel movies are kind of worth the 3D.
Yeah.
So we all agree, thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
All thumbs up here, Lil Hellfire.
Yeah.
Thumbs up where?
Whoa!
I guess
in an inappropriate play. All right, let's get out of here. Matt Kona, where can people find you?
Well, you can listen to me on the Quantum Zone podcast, where you and Will Allred and I speak about Wendell Vaughn Quasar. That happens once a week. I'll be at a comic book convention this weekend. If you're in Boxborough, Massachusetts, I'm doing stand-up comedy at the Northeast Comic-Con Collectibles Extravaganza in the Boxborough Regency Hotel on Sunday. The fest is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that'll be fun. I'll hopefully pick up a bunch of key back issues and stuff that I need. And come say hi. Find me on social media at Matt Kona, MatTKona.
And check that out for his stand-up appearances too.
Yeah, and on YouTube, we're gonna get back to doing Transformers Welcome to Cybertron sometime soon.
Yeah, Monday. Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah. Watch us on YouTube. Yeah.
All right. Diana Mornell, who wants to do the biters and.
Oh, I'll let Marnell because she always has it.
Does she have the notes in front of her?
She's got her patter down.
You can find us at facebook.com/biterspodcast. You can get our podcast anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Biterspodcast.com biterspodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us on Twitter at Biters Podcast. But the Real Housewives of Alaska will also be back because Preacher is going to have a season 4. So listen to us now for The Walking Dead and listen to us later for Preacher.
All right, Charlie Esser, let it rip.
Well, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way we did in the 1990s at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters as I live tweet things when I feel like it, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Gotham or the Orville at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsselCR. Like the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Good Lord. Anyway, yes, send us your thoughts on Captain Marvel, and like we said, we'll probably be covering Shazam and Avengers Endgame. Capes and Lunatics at gmail.com. See more now I haven't written. Capes and Lunatics at gmail.com. Facebook.com/Capes and Lunatics, at Capes Lunatics on Twitter, Instagram, Capes and Lunatics, and the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-Capes. See, Matt Kona was going to leave a voicemail, but he showed up.
I did it in person instead. Oh.
And we appreciate it.
I've been a Skrull this whole time. I'm actually a
All Skrulls are bad people.
No, true.
All right. So for another week, us and our friends, we have been the Capes.
Ampersand.
Marnell, say Lunatics.
Lunatics!
There, playing the little hellfire part. Woo! There's my feeling drunk. Woo! Because Lilith's probably drinking right now. I can't. Lilith said she saw the movie and she didn't like it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, she's in the bag for DC. I know.
She just doesn't want to have anything on record that she saw it and reviewed it, so that when Shazam is worse, she is. I don't know. I think I didn't see the other one, so I can't say if it's better or worse.
We're gonna have to do that fight there.